So first things first, I think it's only fair that we take a look at the wallpaper options, and you can see not much has changed here. It's actually gotten pretty limited over the years in terms of wallpapers. Nothing crazy, nothing like Google's offering these days. So the wallpapers, you can see the selection there. Okay, so the first thing I noticed when I turned this on was that swiping up, when I was trying to get into Control Center, brings up more notifications. So that's something that's new and kind of cool. And of course, if you swipe over, you get to your Now view and stuff like that, your widgets and whatnot. Now, if you want to get into Control Center, if this will work, you're going to have to swipe up really from the bottom. You're going to have to make it a really direct movement instead of just the casual swipe up, because now that brings up notifications. So if we go ahead and go into Control Center, you can see it is radically different, for the better or for the worse, basically like a bunch of Apple Watch widgets here. Now what's cool is that you can now customize this. If we go into Control Center and we go here, you see you now have the option to customize it. So while it is redesigned and you see the new toggles for things like brightness and sound, you can now customize it, which is cool. Now swiping over still gets you to your camera, and the camera app looks pretty much the same. You can see a few different things new, such as the new filter overlay, and you now have a horizontally scrolling filter menu, much more like Instagram rather than the previous box and grid design. So I'm taking a look at Siri. You can see that there is a slightly different font, and also there's a new option for typing to Siri. So if you don't want to speak your commands, you can go ahead and type them out, which is new. Now Siri also sees new changes and includes now translations. So I can do things like, "Hey Siri, what is happy birthday in Spanish?" And it will tell me "Feliz cumpleaños," just like that, and that works really well. There's also been an update to the App Store app. Brand new redesign, much more card-like, very similar to how Photos as well as Apple Music looks. This is definitely a new look, and I'm a fan of this. It looks really clean. There's also a split keyboard view now. If you hold onto the emoji button, you can choose between having it centered on the left or the right, or back to the middle, so this is great for one-hand operation and typing. There's also a brand new way to manage live photos. Before, you just had the simple live mode that would do the same thing over and over, but now you get a few different effects, such as loop, or bounce, or long exposure. And these all are really cool and basically give you more options for your live photos to make them more enjoyable, and a lot of them look like Instagram boomerangs, which is really cool. And so yeah, that's what you can expect to get with iOS 11. Definitely, I would say an upgrade more for the iPad. Hopefully I'll have a video out for that soon. But for the iPhone, there are a few small things and probably more to come in the future updates. But as of right now, this is a pretty nice upgrade with a couple new elements. Definitely a slight redesign. But let me know what you think of this, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.
Today we're going to be taking a look at 11 hidden features inside of iOS 11, because it's fun to look at all the big features that Apple talks about on stage, but each year there's a lot that they don't talk about, and it's not really apparent the first time you look at iOS 11. So if you're excited for iOS 11, feel free to drop a like down below, and of course subscribe for more content like this in the future. But jumping into number 1, we finally have the ability to customize Control Center. You can do this through the Settings app by tapping on Settings and then tapping on Control Center, and here you can add or subtract any toggles that your heart desires. It's really easy to do, and it changes dynamically, so you don't have to restart your phone or change anything else. Just swipe back up to access Control Center, and all of your favorite toggles will be there. Now, one toggle that is hidden in here, bringing us to number 2, is screen recording. This is something that I personally have wanted to see on iOS for such a long time. As a video maker, the only way to do this before today was to plug your phone or iPad into your computer, record it through QuickTime or another third-party application. But with iOS 11, we have the ability to do this straight off of our own devices. Just tap on the toggle right here to start recording, and it's beautiful too. It's 60 frames per second as far as I can tell, and it just looks incredible. So super happy to see that change, but it's interesting that Apple made no mention of that on stage at WWDC 2017. Moving on to number 3, we are going to stay in Control Center. There's so much hidden inside of just this area. You can 3D touch on almost all of this to access stuff that you couldn't access without 3D touch, or by long pressing if you don't have a 3D touch enabled device. For example, you have the ability to enable or disable the microphone if you 3D touch on the record screen option, and there's so many other small features hidden inside of here that you can access just by 3D touching on each of these different sections. There are so many small settings that you can tweak and change through here, and I recommend trying it out for yourself. Moving on to number 4, we need to head over to a typing area because there's a new one-handed keyboard option in iOS 11. This is going to be incredibly useful for all you plus-sized iPhone users, anybody with an iPhone 6s Plus or an iPhone 7 Plus, or maybe the iPhone 7s Plus whenever that is released in the future. It doesn't really seem that useful on an iPhone 7 just because the screen isn't that big in the first place. When you enable it just by holding down on the globe or emoji symbol, you can hit left or right to shift that keyboard over just a little bit to the left or to the right. Not a huge feature, but definitely handy if you're using a larger phone. Now moving on to number 5, do not try this unless you actually want to call 911. I was testing it for this video, and no joke, I thought you'd be able to stop the call after it went through, like before it actually pinged the cell tower and you can hang up. You can't do that, and I actually got to talk to a 911 operator and explain my situation, and she was like, hey, just want to make sure everything's okay. I'm like, yes, everything's okay, sorry for the inconvenience. And not 10 minutes later, 2 police officers show up at my door because I had to confirm my address. So what this does is alert the police. You do this, and I believe it'll also send out a message to some of your most important contacts if you set that up under the emergency SOS settings. But don't mess around with this because the feature works and it contacts the authorities if you are in need of some dire help. Now, out of this entire list, number 6 is my personal favorite. Hidden within the settings for the camera app is an option that, when enabled, allows you to scan QR codes without even touching the screen. I know you don't believe me, so let me just show you how it works. You literally can just look at a QR code, hold your iPhone running iOS 11 up there, or I'm sure it works on the iPad as well if you have it on iOS 11. It automatically scans the code and doesn't even launch Safari for you, so if you do it on accident, it's not going to be a big deal. You tap and it shoots you over to the website or the URL that code is pointing to. I cannot tell you how often I'm going to use this. I always had to download a third-party app just to scan QR codes, but with this feature in iOS 11, that's not necessary anymore. For number 7, we're going to go ahead and launch up the Maps application, and in here you can just double tap now with a finger and zoom in and out. Once again, this is definitely a feature aimed at people with larger screen phones. If you're rocking the iPhone SE, it's probably not going to be the most useful feature out there. But even if you are using an iPhone 7 or an iPhone 7 Plus size model, you can just double tap with a finger and zoom in and out. Or if you're driving, I guess, if you have one hand on your phone, which you probably shouldn't be doing in the first place, but hypothetically, if you did, it would be easier to zoom in and out now. In number 8, we're going to return to our control center settings, but this time on our 9.7-inch iPad Pro. In iOS 11, we have the ability to enable the flash on the back. Why this wasn't an option in the first place, I don't know. Like, I feel like in some of Apple's promo materials, they showed people camping with iPads or using them in a place where maybe an iPad shouldn't be. But now you can use the flashlight in iOS 11. Just head over to your control center settings to make sure you have the flashlight toggle enabled, and it works just like the normal flashlight on the iPhone does. Number 9 is Type to Siri, and this is going to be under your accessibility settings. So to access this one, head over to Settings, General Accessibility, and then scrolling down just a wee bit until you see Siri. The very first option on this screen will say Type to Siri. I didn't know what this was, but when you enable it and go ahead and try to use Siri, you don't actually have to speak with her anymore. All your queries will be entered via your 2 fingers via typing things. So it's going to be pretty useful if you're in a situation where you can't use Siri, or obviously this is an accessibility setting, so individuals who cannot speak back to Siri can still submit their queries this way, which I think is awesome. Moving on to number 10, we have a crazy new feature for everybody who wants to save some space on their iPhone. You tap on Settings and General, and going down to where it says iPhone or iPad Storage, tap on any of the apps that you have a lot of data for. If you tap on Offload right here, this is super cool, you can actually delete the application but save all the data. So maybe you're going on a trip where you want to take a lot of photos, but an app, like maybe a game, has a ton of data, like gigabytes of data on your phone. Hitting offload will delete the app, but your actual game save data, personal data associated with that app, won't be deleted and it'll stay on your phone. And if that's not useful for saving iPhone space, I don't know what is. I think it's a brilliant feature, and I know I won't need it, or would need it if I didn't have a 128 gigabyte iPhone. Especially if you have a smaller iPhone, guarantee you're going to love that feature. And at number 11, in the Photos application, when you've taken a live photo, you've got some new options to modify it. Go ahead and swipe down right here, and you'll notice you have 3 new options. You can either loop it, or add a bounce effect, or add this really weird exposure look. I don't really get the whole point of the exposure. I think if you took the photo correctly and didn't just take a joke photo like I did, it would look a lot better. But you can loop your photos now or add this bounce effect to make them look a little bit different instead of having to go ahead and force touch or 3D touch just to animate that photo every time. But you can always go back to a live photo if you change your mind. You can just tap back right there and you will be good to go. That's going to wrap up the 11 hidden features in iOS 11. But if you discover anything else, feel free to leave a comment down below or share this video with someone else if you found it useful. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like down below, and of course subscribe for more on iOS 11 in the future.
What's up guys, Everything Apple Pro here, and I wanted to cover real quick the dark mode situation in iOS 11. So a lot of people were freaking out saying, hey, Apple didn't add it, it's not here, I really wish it was there, me included. Honestly, it was one of the biggest features I was expecting from iOS 11. But there is one, and a lot of people seem to think that Apple never added one. Well, they did, and I wanted to share that with you in this video. It's not exactly what you may think, but it's a very good solution, and we're getting very close to a full system dark mode. So after installing iOS 11, a lot of users did report that Apple added an updated mode inside of the accessibility settings for display accommodations. You know, usually we have invert colors and it looks like this. It doesn't really look that good. It adds a completely different look to your device just like that. So this isn't really something I would personally use to replace a dark mode, as it makes the system look too funny. I mean, it reverses practically everything and it's just a little too unusable for me. So now this new mode called Smart Invert, as you can see in the description, it reverses the colors of the display except for images, media, and some apps that use dark color styles. So we can definitely see that Apple is working towards a dark mode where not everything is filtered through it. So I wanted to run through this mode with you guys and show you that dark mode is here and it's actually very usable. Now, first off, the settings looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, the images themselves remain, the black is here, but it looks really, really clean. That's what I love about it. So jumping into sub-menus, you can see everything is as it was, just with a black background. On the home screen, the dock itself gets tampered with. I don't like that it becomes this bluish color as its reverse of gray, but overall, you know, the images, the app icons themselves stay. The notification center is a little bit darker, as you can see, not so transparent, which is awesome. The control center, ooh, that doesn't look bad at all, to be honest. So that reverses that. It looks pretty cool. And now obviously the ultimate solution here would be to remain as was with the dark elements just in certain applications, but overall this is a great solution. So in the camera application, whoa, completely reversed here. Whoa, what just happened? I'm still in this mode, it went to white, and now it's still in black. Hey, that's cool. I don't know if it just glitched or what, but it was just all white a second ago. The Photos application is in a dark mode as well. Absolutely beautiful, really like that. The Maps application, also very dark. I mean, if you look at the landscaping, the ocean, it's like all orange, blood red. Interesting. Also, we do have the App Store. App Store looks in particularly very, very good. As you can see, all of the images remain there. It looks very clean. I like that. Music application looks pretty good. It does reverse your album art though, which I don't like. So the album art gets tampered with, even though it said it wouldn't reverse images. It does here. So unfortunately, the album art's completely gone there. In other areas, it remains the same. The calculator, the dark mode, oh, dark mode remains. So it is pretty intelligent. Where it matters, it does keep the previous. Let's see the YouTube application. How does that look? Oh, it does reverse it completely. Yeah. I mean, if Apple could keep third-party applications from being affected by this, I think that'd be interesting. And I mean, maybe even the third-party applications should have a mode where it doesn't get reversed with this new mode. But overall, guys, as you can see, this does work very good. Snapchat is, ooh, too crazy. But overall, the settings, the messages, let's check out the messages here. It is actually in a very beautiful dark mode. They stay in a black mode here. The App Store on the bottom gets tampered with a little bit, as you can see. But I think that with the future versions of iOS 11 beta, this is going to get better and better. As Apple understands we want this, I mean, we can see that they added it, obviously, because of us, but it is here, and I think it's only going to be getting better from here, so I'll be following that with you. But just for all the people that were saying that dark mode isn't here, Apple never added it, they did. It's just in a different way than you thought, and surprisingly works pretty dang good. And just a couple other areas that I found that it was affected with, the lock screen, check this out. It actually looks kind of cool. So if I get it to the passcode screen, it gives this really cool gradient effect. I really like that, to be honest. One of the reasons to stick with this. The UI elements get reversed, yeah, in App Switcher. This is just a little bit different. Over here, Safari. Look at the keyboard. The keyboard I don't like. If they could just have the standard dark UI element keyboard there, that would look much better than what it looks like right now. This honestly looks like back from the day in iOS 6. It has depth to it, which is weird. It reverses all the icons here. So Safari, no. Yeah, it completely reverses all of Safari, which I don't like. So that's one of the big negatives of using this mode, but almost everywhere else it looks pretty dang decent and practically usable as a daily night mode that you can use at night. So there's that. Also on the iPad, wanted to show you that. Let's see what's going on here. The dock gets a little darker, and the app switcher view, as you can see, these are the apps affected. Very similar. I mean, it doesn't look bad. I love how it looks. Honestly, I'm going to be using this, and the App Store, so very, very similar with the iPhone. Still looks amazing. Now, if you can add this as a shortcut with a triple click, then you could disable dark mode as needed when it gets darker in the day. I think that'd be really, really cool. But overall, well done. I really like this feature from Apple. Just work on some things like the album art and stuff, and this will be a killer, especially if you can label it something like dark mode. That'd be nice. But there you go, guys. That's dark mode. Quick little demo for you. I'm gonna have a full video with over 100 hidden features coming right after this one for your iOS 11 enjoyment. Stay tuned for that, guys. Peace.